Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now, and we have our experts today, Kunal Botra as well as Gaurang Shah. Let's get going with our queries. And if you've tuned into the channel right now, do send in your queries on our WhatsApp number, or you can also log into any of the social media handles and do send in your queries to us. Let's move on and let's get the first query on board. And this one is from R. Bharat Kumar from Chennai. He's saying he's holding 250 shares of Federal Bank, which he bought at around 115 rupees per share. He wants to know, can he continue to hold on to it or replace it with something, with some other bank or some other stock altogether? Gaurang, what should Mr. Bharat Kumar do with Federal Bank? Makes sense to hold on to it. 250 shares he's purchased at 115 rupees per share.
So we have a buy coverage on Federal Bank, Cheryl, and morning to you as well. And my advice to him would be that there is no need to do any changes. The only thing that you need to do is add to the stock at current levels, given the higher level of acquisition price that he bought in earlier. The last 2-3 quarter numbers show tremendous amount of scope of improvement. And we are also often believe that starting second quarter onwards, in case if the third wave does not have to play a spoil sport, we believe that banking sector would be the one that will take the lead to take us to the next level on the higher side as far as the Sensex and Nifty is concerned. So hold on, and I think current levels where the stock is trading at should not be a bad area where you can add to the stock.
All right. We've got Kaustubh, Kunal, who I think has picked up on a trend that you did as well. If I'm not mistaken, you had Kotak Bank as one of your picks when we spoke earlier in the morning. Kaustubh is asking, technically, what target do you foresee for Kotak Bank in the upcoming sessions? And he points out, or he sees that it is doing well after some consolidation.
Alex, in fact, Kotak Bank has been one of the recommendations since quite some time now. We sort of picked up the stock closer to the support levels when the entire banking index was going through a recovery phase, and Kotak Bank apparently had been underperforming. So there was a catch up which was supposed to be in play, and that has played out classically for Kotak Bank. Now I think what should be in line for the stock at least over the near term should be closer to 1950-2000 levels as a target range for the stock. And the 200-day moving average, which was the breakout point for Kotak Bank around 1805, 1810 levels right now, I think that should act as a moderate support for the stock. I believe that the breakout which had happened for Kotak Bank and the price volume breakout which had happened when the stock had broken past about 200 moving averages, as well the volumes crossing almost a multi-month high for the stock over the last 1 week, that was closer to 1810 levels as well. So both these points coincide, the 200-day moving average, the breakout, as well as the volume patterns which improved significantly for Kotak Bank. So that should be a stop loss, assumingly if you've bought at lower levels. And I believe the target range which you should be looking at should be closer to 1950-2000 levels.
This one is from Sarvani from Hyderabad. Says she wants to invest in LT Foods in the medium term. Can you suggest if it's a good stock, and if not, suggest a stock which can give me 20% returns in the medium term? LT Foods, Gaurang, do you think it's worth buying for the medium term? Do you think that this has the prospects of giving about 20% returns in the medium term?
Very difficult to say that in terms of return, and unfortunately, Cheryl, we don't have a coverage on LT Foods, but he's also asked whether there is an alternative investment idea. So I can definitely share an alternative investment idea, provided that he extends his time horizon to a longest time horizon, because medium term 20%, one has to be a little bit realistic when it comes to stock market. So my advice would be to get into IT, and other than the large cap names, if I have to suggest one mid cap name, then I think he can either pick up Mindtree or Coforge, which looks extremely strong. And just in case if he is thinking of one more alternative idea, then our sense is that Alex just mentioned about private sector banks underperforming today. So we believe this underperformance as a great opportunity to nibble into some of the private sector banks. So you can either pick up HDFC Bank, Axis Bank, or ICICI Bank.
Okay, interesting. Gaurang, I'm coming back to you. Vikram is pointing out that he's shortlisted Trident and Wellspun India, but he's wondering which one to get into. He's looking at whether or not these are the good buying opportunities or levels that he should enter in, and he's wondering what kind of prospects are there for the next 1 to 5 years.
So in the related sector, Alex, I would give you an alternative investment idea on which we are extremely positive. So forget about Trident and Welspun, but definitely look at Raymond's or Century Textile. These are more established players, and along with that, Alex, there is a tailwind of huge land parcel, which ultimately translate into positivity because of the huge uptick we are seeing in the real estate sector. So instead of looking at Trident or Welspun, I think it will be prudent to buy Raymond's or Century Textile.
Okay, this one is coming in from Sagar, and he wants a technical view on Green Panel. He's saying he's holding about 100 shares since it's separated from Green Ply. He wants to know, should I book profits or wait? Looking for mid to long term period. Kunal, do you track Green Panel? And if so, what should Sagar do?
So don't track this stock that often, but just looking at the charts while we were discussing the stock, and I believe that in the last 1 month, from the August end lows of 225, the stock has done reasonably well. Look at it over the span of the last 1.5 year as well. From 2020 lows closer to 50 rupees or slightly below that, it's done reasonably well for itself. Jumped up almost 6 times, 5.5 to 6 times from those very strong oversold territories. So it's a stock which is going through a reasonable price uptrend. Even on the short-term charts, I think it's confirmed a breakout about the 275 level. So it's almost a 4-month consolidation breakout for Green Panel about this 275 mark. So I think if this level of 275 holds on for the stock, you can expect another at least 50 to 70 rupees on the upside as a target range. So 350 approximately could be a target range for Green Panel over the near term.
All right, Anurag has got an interesting question. Gaurang, you just mentioned a couple of names from the IT space that you thought are great prospects, but he's specifically looking at strong growth-oriented tech companies for the next decade. And she's asking whether there are any good software as a service companies, direct or indirect, and plays in the Indian market that you would talk about, or any that are playing in cloud computing or AI for that matter.
So history is witness, Alex, that the niche players in the IT sector has performed extremely well, and that only goes to tell that the growth prospect as far as the future earnings are concerned look extremely strong, and that is what exactly the verbatim also we heard from the respective management post the first quarter number this financial year. And we have at least about 7 or 8 companies which we cover under the IT universe, and if I have to name them, so large cap first, of course, TCS, Infosys, HCL Tech, Tech Mahindra, followed by Coforge, Mindtree, Persistent System, Cyient Limited, L&T Infotech, and L&T Technologies. And she's having a decade view. I would advise her that pick 1 or 2 large cap, 1 or 2 mid cap, and if you have the investable amount, then preferably do an SIP in these companies, but at the same time, don't overexpose to any particular sector or stock. Depending upon the portfolio holdings you have, you need to have a balanced approach towards investing into equity market.
This one is from Shubha from Chennai saying, can we enter Godavari Power at current market price in view of bonus issue as well as stock split? Does it make sense to enter this counter, Kunal, on the charts? How does Godavari Power look like?
Well, apologies, Cheryl, don't track the stocks, won't be able to offer any comment.
Gaurang, do you track Godavari Power? Any view on it? Does it make sense for Shubha to enter a current market price?
Well, we don't cover it as out of the universe, but bonus issue is not the criteria that you should have in mind when it comes to investing into stock market. You should look at other credible fundamentals as well.
Fair point, Gaurang. Absolutely. Corporate announcements are not what you should look at. Aurobindo Pharma is the next stock that I want to focus in on. It's up about 1.6% or so, or over 1.5% in trade today. But we've got RJ, who I think, Kunal, you will remember as the person who asked you about indicators that you should track for the short term. Who bought at levels of 1004. He's wondering whether to book losses or should he hold. He's not really particular about the time horizon.
Well, I would suggest to hold on to it, and not to panic as such. I think the majority of the selling for Aurobindo Pharma seems to have happened over the last 1 to 2 months. I think specifically from the June July highs of 1050 odd for Aurobindo Pharma. From there on, the pace of correction had intensified. I think in the month of August, where the stock fell off and fell sharply towards 650, 670 levels. I think somehow the stock is now showing signs that it's trying to settle back into a trading range. Now, it's possible that the stock may, remain in this 100-pointer band for, another, at least couple of months before it tries to, recuperate and try to recover in terms of the correction which has already happened for Aurobindo Pharma. So I would suggest to wait and watch, at least for the next couple of months. I would expect more sideways price action for Aurobindo Pharma. But I think if the entire pharma, sector sort of revives and, you see a rejuvenating rally coming out for pharma names yet again, then I believe that there is a strong case which could be built for Aurobindo Pharma as well to see a sharp recovery. So as of now, I would suggest a hold.
This one is from S. Gopalakrishnan from Chennai. He's saying he has 500 shares of BPCL, which is purchased at 464 rupees per share. He's saying, please advise a strategy with a 1-year horizon. Kunal, how does BPCL look? We all know that one particular news piece is still lingering about the privatization, or rather the stake sale of BPCL. But apart from that, on the charts, does it make sense for somebody to stay put with BPCL?
So I would suggest, yes, that you can probably stay put with BPCL. But I believe, if I'm not wrong, I think, the next couple of days, you'll also have the dividend, which could be, factoring for BPCL almost, I think it's a 58 rupees dividend, if I'm not wrong, for the stock. So I think that could be one pointer which could be looked at. So, but specifically, I think for the stock, it's been one of the few OMC names out of the three, in fact, which has been an outperformer as such. It's managed to outperform the other peers, HPCL as well as IOC specifically IOC by a huge margin. So I think in that sense, it's been one of the strongest stocks. So you can stay put with the strongest stock in the sector. And I think over the next 6 months to 12 months, if the chart patterns play out, and if, assuming the news flow surrounding the stock doesn't get a bit more aggravated, then you can look at the stock maybe hitting back towards even 540, 550 levels as well.
All right, Zafar, I believe that answers your question as well. Zafar incidentally has 9,000 shares of BPCL and he's holding on to a gain of 5%, notwithstanding today's downward trajectory. We've got a question coming in from Naresh on Shriram Transport Finance, and I believe that we've got questions on this counter in the recent past, but Naresh has got 400 shares of the counter at 1,376 Gaurang. He's wondering whether he should hold for the long term or should he exit, should he move to something else?
I don't think there is need to do any kind of changes or shuffling, Alex. We at Geojit are also of the opinion that along with the banking sector, improvement for the second quarter financial numbers that we are likely to see very soon, and of course the quarters to come by, NBFC is the other sector that will see tremendous amount of improvement in the earnings. And this particular company is focused on pan-India pre-owned and new commercial vehicle finances and other products as well. With the scrappage policy coming through for the commercial vehicle, I think the demand for replacement of commercial vehicle will also grow, and thereby we expect a loan book growth for Shriram Transport Finance. Continue to hold and use dips to add to the stock.
Okay, this one is from Dashrath. He's saying, can SAIL be a multi-bagger willing to buy 100 shares at current market price for 1 to 2 years? What's your take, Gaurang? Do you think SAIL can become a multi-bagger? Should Dashrath go ahead and buy the stock?
I don't really understand the definition of multi-bagger, Cheryl, so apologies for that. But at current levels of 120 or thereabouts, I think it is quite richly valued. If you do want to get into other metal names, then I would prefer, in preference of order, Tata Steel, JSW Steel, Hindalco and Vedanta. You can pick either of these 4 stocks from a long-term point of view, and I hope you will make a decent return on that.
Well, Gaurang, I can help you with the multi-bagger definition. It is the same as stellar or outstanding or amazing returns. But we've got Aditya Kulkarni who's asking about Tata Power. He's got 131 shares, I believe at levels of 75. Let me just pull up the chart and see where it's currently trading, if we can pull up Tata Power. But the question is for you, sorry, this is the other way around. He's got 75 shares at levels of 131, now that I understand it. He says that he's bought it for a swing trade, and he's says that it has crossed his R1 level. He's wondering whether he should get out at R2, which is 144 as he sees it. Kunal, I believe that this is another stock that you had picked today.
Yes, Alex, and I believe that Tata Power looks very strong. Today's move could probably be termed as a breakout move for Tata Power, and I think for someone who's been a positional buyer. In fact, we've had a lot of queries on the same show as well earlier, on Tata Power, and there were so many guys who were looking at this as a more of a short-term play. I always used to maintain a stance, and I still maintain a stance. And I think this is a stock which used to be, which should be kept from a medium-term to long-term perspective. So today's breakout move, I think, is just a reinstating of the fact that the stock is into a very strong, uptrend for itself. And I believe that even at current levels, for someone who's looking at, say, another, 3 weeks to 4 weeks kind of a trading time frame, then you could be looking at least a 10% further upside for Tata Power. 155 is where I placed the short-term targets for the stock.
All right, this next query is coming in from Rajesh, and he wants to know whether he should sell his shares of Prague Bosumi Synthetics or not. His buying amount is 6 and he has about total shares of 100. Kunal, do you track the stock, Prague Bosumi Synthetics?
Not at all, Cheryl. Apologies, don't track the stock.
No problem. Gaurang, any view on this one? Do you also track? Because I've actually heard this stock name for the first time. I'll be very honest with you.
Well, this is totally out of the universe and into the black hole, Cheryl. My only request to this gentleman would be that be careful of what stocks you buy and protect your capital. Of course, stock market investment is all about risk, but try to get into known names. I always mention buy quality, don't buy quantity.
That's a fair point. Kunal, another question for you. Technical view on GAIL is sought by Sagar. He's got his father who's bought 20,000 shares at 1992 levels. He's looking for 180 plus levels. So should he continue to hold?
I think you should continue to hold. In fact, GAIL had been one of the few stocks from the PSU basket overall which had managed to move up first. So the stock bottomed out somewhere in the month of August or September 2020, and then was one of the few stocks which gave almost a 3 or 4 consecutive month rally for itself from 80 levels to 130, 140, and it's consolidated over those levels for the past, I think 6-7 months. Now I think the stock is getting up and readying up for another breakout on the upside. If the breakout sustains for GAIL, then we could be looking at the stock hitting back towards 190 levels or 195, which is the all-time high for the stock. So would suggest a hold on the stock.
Gaurang, what's your view on car trade? Did you have coverage during the IPO time? We've got a viewer we've got Anup who bought at IPO level, and he's wondering whether to hold on for the long term.
Well, I don't really honestly recollect, Alex, so I will restrict my comments. But these kind of companies which are unicorn companies or new breed of animals, they take a while for performance. And more importantly, I think there was a lot of rush for the IPO in terms of listing gains or short-term gains. Unfortunately, there is no specific coverage that we have, so I won't be able to comment on buy, sell, and hold.
Okay, this one is from Rijo Varghese from Bangalore. He's saying that he owns 150 shares of Ashoka Buildcon, which he purchased at 115 rupees per share. He wants to know whether he should continue to hold the stock within the short to medium term. What's your take, Kunal? Ashoka Buildcon, does it make sense for Rijo to stay put with this holding?
Well, you can stay put. I think the stock is consolidating. The breakout for Ashoka Buildcon on the charts seems to be closer to 115 mark. The stock is down, I think, 10% from those levels. But I believe in this consolidation, the indicators, the volumes, all of them look to be quite strong and robust. So I would suggest hold on Ashoka Bilcon and wait out for the breakout above this 115 mark. Whenever that happens, it should probably be at least a 30-pointer breakout for the stock, which could take the stock back towards 145, 150 zone.
Another one for you. We've got Ajay, who's holding on to AB Capital at levels of 117, wondering whether to hold on and wondering, in fact, whether it can hit its all-time high. Stock is currently trading under 114, and he has a 1-month view.
Well, from a 1-month view, I would suggest that he could probably relook at the time frame, because this is the 7th month on a trot, if I'm not wrong, that the stock has gone through a consolidation. So prior to that, in the month of January 2021, the stock had a fabulous uptick from 80 levels to almost 120, 125 in a matter of just about 1 month, so almost a jump of 50%. Post that, this is the 7th month of consolidation. Maybe the stock can take another couple of months to try and consolidate, and get ready for a breakout yet again. So I would suggest that the stock seems to be at an attractive price level, but the time frame has to be tweaked a bit. I would suggest that keep at least a 6-month plus time frame for AB Capital, and whenever the stock breaks out, I believe that it could break out back towards 150, 160 mark. So tweaking the time frame could be something which I would suggest to the viewer.
Okay, this one is from Satya, and he wants to know about HDFC Bank, saying why is it a laggard in the last few sessions? Kunal, on the charts, how is HDFC Bank looking? Any reason for weakness? How does it look going ahead?
I think such kind of chop and churn, they keep on happening. These are part and parcel of how the markets gets processed. But I think when you look at such kind of quality names, you have to give them more time. HDFC Bank is not a stock which is compared to a very high beta stock that could keep on moving up higher on a consistent basis. These are stock which goes through strong phases of uptrend, and they are more durable in that sense. So I believe that even though the stock has gone through a bit of a mild consolidation, I think one should not fret about it. It's confirmed a breakout above its 200-day moving averages, 50-day moving average. The bank Nifty seems to be dependent more on the likes of the comeback of HDFC Bank and Kotak Bank. So I think in that sense, it seems to be a stock which should be in fine fettle. If you've bought already, I would suggest to hold on to it from current levels as well.
Gentlemen, I'm going to hit the rapid fire segment. As you know, this is 2 minutes and we try and take as many questions as possible. I will start with you, Gaurang. We've got Azma who's asking about Granules India. Bought at levels of 355. Should he hold on?
Hold on closer to 300 at the stock. We have a target of 445 long term.
This one is from Ramana Sagar, saying, can I buy BEL at current market price, Kunal?
I would suggest yes, you can buy BEL at current levels, keep a target closer to 215 and stop loss at 202.
Kunal, couple of stocks to look at. Adani Ports in SH Kelkar. Soumitra wants to know how does Adani Ports look on the charts? Would it be better instead to put it into SH Kelkar at this juncture?
Well, I think Adani Ports could turn out to be a better play. The stock is confirmed breakouts above 50-day moving average. Would suggest a hold on Adani Ports or a buy there.
This is from Pushkar Saxena, saying he has 8 shares of Pfizer India, which he's purchased at 2,636 rupees per share. Wants to know what should he do with the counter, Gaurang?
Hold the stock, add on to the dips that you are seeing, and unless you need the money, don't sell the stock.
Kunal, Tata Communications held at 1,220. Purna wants to know, would you hold on to this, or since you already have a view on Tata Power, would you shift to something like that?
I suggest to book out profits over here and then shift to Tata Power or maybe Tata Motors, specifically if it's a 6 month to 1 year kind of a time frame trade.
Gaurang, this one is coming from Vijay Lakshmi, wants technical view on RBL Bank, bought about 80 shares at around 210 rupees per share. Can I get my price or should I sell, switch to something else?
So fundamentally speaking, we have a positive coverage. I would advise her to add onto this dips and hold the stock from a long term.
Sagar wants to know about Chambal Fertilizers holding at levels of 250. 200 shares have been bought. Would you hold or book profits? Kunal?
I would suggest to book at least 50% profits over here and keep a trading stop loss of almost 300 on the balance.
Alright, and with that we come to the end of the rapid fire segment as well within the query segment. Thank you Kunal as well as Gaurang for joining us on the show, giving us your take on consumer durables as well as resolving all the viewer queries. And on that note, we'll slip into a break in this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere, lots lined up for you after the break.